Good evening, YouTube. This is the passenger side plastic panel out of the back of the 4Runner, created on a sheet of 1/4-inch Luan plywood that I had. I found if I put two blocks, I put one block on that square face, and then I put another concrete block over here, and then I could push the plywood and the plastic up against the two blocks and get them to line up. And then I just traced around the outside. I traced the hole for the seat back clip there, which I might do something different. And then I traced the hole for my power inverter. I'm not putting a speaker in there. And then I traced the hole for the access hatch right there, and then just cut it out with a jigsaw. I haven't cut the openings yet. Let me show you what it looks like in the truck. Okay, and a piece of plywood fits pretty well. I might have to do a little bit of fine-tuning on the edge, kind of smooth it out. What I did over on the back edge is I cut the plywood about a 1/4 inch, 6 millimeters longer than I cut off, so that way I can tuck it behind this little curved piece of plastic. So I still have to cut out the access panel there. I'm thinking I'm going to have to lose this carpet. It gets in the way of this panel. The factory panels kind of had a curved piece on the bottom. You know, they're sort of molded, some sort of vacuum forming. But with the plywood, you know, it's just going to be straight. So yeah, I think I'm going to lose this, plus the battery cage. That thickness right there makes a difference. So I think I'll get rid of the carpet, and then I'll probably just spray this with some bed liner material down here. This is where the factory back seat back latches onto, and I want to use this for my cargo deck. So the cargo deck is going to be hinged in the middle, and it's going to drop down to here. So there'll be a plywood sheet here, and I need something to hook the plywood sheet onto to hold it down. So I think what I'm going to do is just drill 2 holes, and then I'll just mount this there, and that'll hold the plywood down. That'll also help because I'm going to be putting my power inverter right in here. So that's how I had mounted the power inverter before. And so what I did was I just cut an opening to fit the power inverter in, and then I pop riveted this little bracket on there, a little angle bracket. Took a couple of these guys, put them together, and the top went over the top of the inverter, and then the bottom went underneath that thing. This is actually the one I cut off of the passenger side plastic panel, but it fits perfectly on the driver's side, so I think I'm just going to use this plywood piece as my template to cut the other side, because this side was all in pieces. It's cracked really bad where the speaker was. The only difference in the two sides is the driver's side has the factory deck light. If you recall, it was located like down here, and it's like behind the roll bar. I'm planning on putting a cargo deck in here, and the deck will probably be about this high, and the light would be below the cargo deck. So number one, makes it really hard to get to the switch because you'd have to reach in through the tailgate and feel around up here for the switch, and then the light's going to be below the level of the cargo deck, which kind of defeats the purpose of having a light. So what I'm thinking of doing is taking this light, and I'm just going to build a 3D printed enclosure to go around this. So I'll recess this light into that enclosure, and then all I need is a hole in the back to get the factory wiring connector through. So this will just sit on the surface. I'll probably put it this way so the light switch is in back where it's easy to get to, and I'll probably just have that like someplace along here. I can put it anywhere I want. I'll just have to pick a place where there's no metal behind here. So yeah, having this panel out of here reveals a couple of neat things. Right here, that's what's called the cover top presence bolt. So that's the special bolt that you have to put in here. I always thought it was this one right here, but it turns out it's this bolt here right by the factory roll bar. So here's the switch, and this bolt goes down in there and closes two contacts in that switch, and then that goes up to the rear window relay, which is right in here, and that is an interlock that prevents you from using the rear window if you don't have the cover top installed. Yeah, so because the SoftTop I have works with the rear window, I have that bolt installed so that my rear window works. So yeah, that's one thing. The other thing that'll allow me to do is I can come in here and I'm going to take all of these wires. Let's see, this is my CB antenna. This is the cable for the rear view camera and mirror. And then, oh, and this is my speaker wire. So I'm going to tie all the wires up to the factory wiring harness there and get them out of the way, because at some point in the future I want to cut the fender on the outside, and I want to basically extend this out. I want to cut everything out below the wheel well so that I have a larger wheel well opening to fit the tires I have. It's a good thing I actually did this, because now I can get these wires out of here, because I'll probably cut this from the outside. I'll mark it, cut it, and then I have to fill this gap in here with some sheet metal. Yeah, and then I have to fill in all these rivet holes. I used to have a set of Bushwhacker fender flares. I had to pop rivet them there, so I still have a bunch of pop rivet holes in the side there that I got to fill in. I'll put the deck light like right across here and then have the hole back there, because yeah, I got to be able to plug it in and it won't reach. So I think this is the last of the demolition I need to do in here. Then it's time to start rebuilding. I'll get the plywood finished and installed. I have to put all the threaded inserts into all these other holes. Got to get my plywood, get it all cleaned up. I got to get this all sanded, get some polyurethane on there, get it all waterproof, and then get some paint on it. I think I'll do paint. Kind of make the back of this all, at least it'll all be new looking and the same color. The old plastic was all discolored and faded, and so at least this way everything will be the same color. Anyway, I'll show you that when I get there. So if you have any questions, post up in the comments section below. And as always, thanks for watching.